Time starts now. Your first question.
You stated that countries are currently cutting foreign aid. But if countries have given substantial foreign aid, do you agree that the situation can be solved?
No, because we tell you that developing country is way worse. We tell you that overcrowded issue, the lack of land, cannot be solved by any form of aid. How can you extend your borders with money?
Like you have mentioned, the lack of land was never supported with evidence in your team. I believe you cannot bring up new evidence.
Actually, wait, we can't. According to the UNSCR 2018,
it's
October,
the big rule.
you're denying our evidence. Crossfire can't provide evidence. October 9th, we tell you that the current status quo has witnessed house facilities being overcrowded, and overcrowded issue has resulted in a lack of land and space to hold refugees, and this cannot be solved.
Which is in our case.
Yeah.
Now do we have a question?
Okay, so basically you talked about how terrorists, our evidence is under restricted countries. Do you realize that actually we mentioned that Homeland Security misses out 180 million refugees that are actually, 180 million like foreign tourists who are actually not being vetted by refugees, which basically means that there's more possibilities of other forms of people coming in that are terrorists, the higher possibility than being refugees.
Yes, apparently, but there is still a possibility that refugees could become terrorists, and every tiny possibility
could be a harm
and a threat to the national interest.
In your country are conducted by the ISIS. It's a higher responsibility, right? Because we tell you that refugees are actually well vetted, right? They come inside the country with a well procedure done. But when you actually have the tourists in your country, you can't guarantee that they are not terrorists. You have a higher possibility of having terrorists than our ground. Let me ask you a question.
As we can see, all of the evidence mentioned are about America and England. And like I have said in my first speech, in France and Germany, the percentage of refugees being terrorists is much higher. That's exactly because of the lack of restriction.
1 in 3.6 billion. Do you have
That is America. This is America.
Okay, you are saying that U.S. isn't a credible card because it's a great country.
We are saying U.S. is not credible because it has restriction, not like Germany and
France and Germany have refugee restrictions.
No, they don't. They have more than 200,000 refugees every year, which we believe are not restrictions.
Right? Do you realize that 911 attackers all arrive in the United States on student or tourist visas?
United States again.
Even if you want to talk about France and Germany, we already told you that in Paris that 4 out of 5 terrorists come from Belgium. We see that EU citizens have even much higher possibility.
I have told you in Germany in the 4 years span, 1,000 local citizens have died.
Okay,
that's the result.
Terrorist attacks conducted by British citizens and Paris attacks conducted by French citizens. What more evidence do you want? Are all the developed countries?
And also, we have already mentioned another link about how you push those refugees out of the border, and that will breed hatred in the next generation of those refugees coming from the image that Western society are not.
Merkel from Germany also admitted it was a result of suddenly taking so many refugees. Thank you.
You have 1 minute of prep time.
My time starts now. In this speech, I will explain why the Pro Team has won this debate. I believe the Pro Team has won for the following 3 reasons. The first reason, we have clearly stated an alternative option, while the other team did not attack it successfully. Our alternative option is giving money to developing countries nearby and having them host the refugees. And we have provided examples where it actually worked. And we believe it's better than simply letting refugees into developed countries for the following reasons. 1, it saves the dangerous journey they have to travel. 2, it's cheaper and saves more people. Our side believes the more urgent issue is saving the most number of people, not guaranteeing some refugees a higher life quality. 3, it fulfills the obligation, if there is any, for developed countries. And it does not harm the citizens' benefits in developed countries. 4, Developed countries are not pushing their responsibility through this. They're simply seeking the most efficient and the most sustainable solutions. And 5, this also helps local conditions in developing countries to improve and therefore creates a win-win situation for refugees and developing countries. The next time a refugee crisis occurs, following their solution, more refugees will flood into developed countries, and by then it will exceed their capability. The second reason why we should win is that 2 of our arguments still stand and remain unattacked. The first argument is that terrorism is a serious issue. Our evidence has much more credibility than theirs. Their only focus is the United States of America and Britain, which both have refugee restrictions, while we quote directly from Merkel, the German chancellor who has not imposed restrictions and now regrets her decision. And we also mentioned the poverty issue that exists in the American society, while the other team only neglected the issue by saying we cannot consider this because it is out of topic. And so we believe we have won these 2 issues. And finally, Judge, both sides want to save more lives and see fewer human rights abuses, but our side has done it in a more clever, more efficient way, and has given a better priority of things. So when it comes to an issue as tremendous as the refugee crisis, will you stick to the old and inefficient way, or will you seek a more innovative and efficient way out of the problem? The option is yours. Thank you.
We'll take a running topic for the last 2 minutes.
I'm starting.
Judge ready? Opponents ready? So my time, restore, yeah. Save most people. Which side saves the most people in today's debate? We tell you that Khan does. Why? Because they are actually creating a vicious cycle causing neighboring countries in collapse. We tell you that neighboring countries do not even have the land to hold them, and they are suffering a major economic crisis mentioned in our contention 3, right? So we basically tell you that there are only advocacy 2 points, developing countries and aid, which we have widely rebutted throughout this debate. First, onto aid. We tell you that funding for refugees is extremely low. Hungary, Portugal cutting all of the drastic cuts in the budget for aid, 100%. And we tell you Sweden's contribution dropped by 95%, with Lithuania dropped by 69%. The drop-off in funds could ruin the neediest refugees in the region, which basically means that your aid do not stand. And we tell you government corruption. Developing countries are already more corrupt than developed countries, which means that foreign aid has funded corruption in 157 contracts worth $200 million. So even if you say anything about aid, they are still corrupted and they cannot even get to the hands of the refugees. Now we're talking about the capability, right? They have tourist buses, I already told you so. Developing country. Why we tell you developing country isn't good? Because we have the evidence from UNHCR telling you that the current status quo has witnessed health facilities being overcrowded, housing and shelters becoming increasingly broken down, and the problem of lack of space cannot be solved by any form of aid. Therefore, currently we have already told you that their only stance for aid plus developing countries have all fallen apart, and that's why you should vote for us. Now we tell you why restriction is bad, right? In our contention 1, we tell you 5 bad consequences: denial of borders, rape, torture, slave labor, human trafficking, refugee camps where people live off $0.5 a day, or a future generation, only 23% of education, and 8 hurt LGBTI, which they have completely drop throughout this debate and only defends that we're not defending for status quo. But we tell you in our framework that the word "or" in the topic directly means that they have to consider status quo and restriction. Our whole contention is surrounded with restriction, not the status quo, which basically means that all of our impacts fall onto their side and making them inevitable to win this debate. And they basically drop all our third contention and second contention, talking about developed countries' responsibility, war, environment, and also the capability. Thus, you should vote a card ballot. Thank you.